Hey everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV here, down at Surveyor today. Got away from my Coldwater, Michigan home store. Kind of answering the call to some of the feedback. Lately here, I've seen a number of people chiming in the comments section, and thank you very much, by the way, saying, Josh, why do you only record small stuff? Like, I want a bigger trailer. I've got a seasonal site, and I realized that I really haven't had a lot of bigger stuff in my catalog lately, and today we're gonna fix that. So this is what I call triple slide, flat deck fifth wheel. Like a lot of manufacturers make this, where it's a big bedroom slide. It's got washer dryer prep. It's opposing living room slides. They're carpetless and floor flush, which is excellent. The RV has no vents in the flooring either. Even has central vacuum built right in. So this is one of the best, easiest cleaning things you're gonna run into. Island kitchen, maximized campsite windows. Great floor plan. Everybody builds it, but everybody builds a little bit differently. And one of the really cool key things on this RV is that Surveyor has a lot of standardized seating sizes. So you can actually get this one with a bunch of different furniture configurations that most manufacturers just don't offer. So if you don't want a hide-a-bed on the rear wall, if you want a second theater seat, you can do that. If for some reason you really felt like it, I bet you could actually even probably custom order this with a second dinette on the rear wall. I can't really imagine that, but it is technically possible because of the way Surveyor does stuff here. Now they went with a little bit of, I call it the Franken dinette, where it's got a half booth, half table and chairs arrangement. But as primarily a couples camper, I would just leave the two chairs out and then put the ottoman thing in the middle of the RV and use it almost like a little footrest kind of coffee table, something like that. RVs can benefit from coffee tables too. They just don't usually seem to come with them anymore. But it's got tank heaters, 400 watts of solar, taller ceiling, bigger vent fan, stackable washer dryer prep that does not destroy the front closet, which is cool, and a bunch of other neat things. It's a pretty solid layout, and I'm really curious to see what you think about it. Also, I'm very hot and very tired. This is about video number 12 today, and I'm cooked. So whenever I'm faced like this with a floor plan that everybody makes, I think about like, okay, what does this manufacturer do differently that helps separates it? That's what I want to really focus on today. And Surveyor's got a couple really good points, but frankly, so does everybody. I do really appreciate the fact that they give us a potential for cuddle compliant theater love seating over here. That's one of those flip up style armrests, but it also means lots of cup holders, which I appreciate. If I'm going to be nitpicky, no real like power outlets around the theater seating. So, you know, phone charging you're going to have to get a little more creative with and run a cable from somewhere else, although there are some outlets fairly nearby. We'll get to those in a minute. They give you a very convertible dining arrangement, and that by the way, that's Ben. Ben's basically Mr. Surveyor. He has no idea he's on candid camera right now. I was talking to Ben earlier, actually. I think that these drop-down lights, I think they look really pretty. But the problem is, because they don't cast any light up into the slide box, it never really looks like they're on. I constantly find myself walking over there to check if they're on. He said, yeah, they're probably not going to be there next year, but I'm sure he bought a whole container of them from China or something like that that's going to come over. I do appreciate the fact that this is a 6'9" linear interior height. Another interesting thing Surveyor does is what they do with their air conditioners here and what I'm going to call the 3 series. So this is a 305 model. Any other model numbers that start with 3 automatically have dual air conditioners and are prepped for a third air. So our main living room air conditioner up here is one of these Furrion chill cubes. And something you may not have realized, I'm going to quit talking for a second. That is currently running. You know, it is not very noisy in here. You might be picking up a little of it, but it's not noisy. It's a non-centralized air conditioner, so you're getting all 18,000 BTUs of it pumped straight here into the biggest cavity of the RV. Now, the bedroom and bathroom, 2 smaller rooms, they share the other air conditioner. It's a mini ducted system. So, you know, 1 air serving 2 small rooms and 1 big air serving the biggest room. And then if you want to, these are 50 amp service, you can get that third air installed up there. And the way that this is all wired up, and due to the energy efficiency of things like that Furrion Chill Cube, you can run all 3 airs with compressor simultaneously. Now, what I was advised on that is we found out that, yeah, you can't start all 3 of them at one time, because something people don't realize is the startup spike on an air conditioner is where a big power consumption is. But if you start one up and let it run, and then start the second one, and then the third, you can run all three. Now, they are carpetless, ventless, with opposing floor flush slides, and that's something that even some way higher budget RVs have not cracked the code on yet. Easy reach appliance outlets, like all over the place. They did a really good job of plugs here, and I wanted to kind of buy myself some time talking to circle back. What do you think about this kind of open shelf concept they got going on? Visually, I think it looks super cool, but non-enclosed storage is not traveling friendly. So it feels to me like that's one of the kind of things to consider where if you are going to move the RV with frequency, you may not like that. If you're going to just mostly leave it like at a seasonal site, it's probably going to do you just fine. You know, that's my estimation. Now, that bigger oven down there, that's another one of the 2025 updates based heavily on viewer feedback, along with things like the bigger vent fan in the bathroom. They finally got away from that tiny little fan, which is hilarious to me how many quote-unquote luxury travel trailers and fifth wheels still try to get by on a dollar store 4-inch fart fan. And here's a brand that's not known for being the biggest budget rig out there getting it done. It can be done, ladies and gentlemen. Surveyor's kind of proven it. Very easy, no neck wrecker entertainment center here. If you notice, that TV's not mounted all the way up in the sky, because this RV does have a taller ceiling, and some manufacturers will mount that TV up as high as possible. But Surveyor put it a little bit of midships here, you know, so it's not cranking your neck. And that little Franken bench I was telling you about, it includes like a single free-floating either storage ottoman or dining bench. It can flip up like a coffee table. It can do some storage action. We have one of those in front of my sofa at my personal house, and we use the living crap out of that thing. It is always handy. Like if I got to do a quick emergency laptop job on something or another, like sometimes I make plenty of YouTube mistakes, and thank you folks, by the way, for helping catch those and keeping things right. But I make plenty of YouTube mistakes, and sometimes like, oh boy, I got to go grab the laptop and fix this. One thing, I don't know if you're going to love it or not. Notice how you have really big maximized viewing windows here. Well, the windows on the sides of the slide open for airflow, but the biggest windows don't. Instead, they got rid of that crossbar, which means no airflow, but it's completely unobstructed viewing. So you're getting a larger sense of space, but you are losing the potential of airflow from those windows. But notice, across every seat, you always have some airflow windows there. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I will say, I appreciate the fact that they have household and USB outlets back here. I don't like them all the way by the floor because, you know, most cords are only about 3 foot. Some people are rocking the 6 foot cords, but a lot of people are only running 3 foot cords. So, you know, powering up phones or something like that is going to be something that you just kind of want to have to deal with and keep in mind. One area, though, I really do want to give them credit. If we look up here above the sofa, notice how their overhead cabinet doors, they made flip up and have gas struts. It's, again, super annoying how many more expensive RV companies do not do that. Now, we're looking at that hide-to-bed sleeper sofa on the rear wall. But again, that is the very standard, roughly 60-inch like sleeper sofa that Surveyor uses all over the place in their floor plans. The cool thing about that is because they standardize a bunch of seating to the same size, if in theory you wanted this, say with like a dual hide-a-bed or something like that, and not a theater seat, or rather if you want a dual theater seat or you want a dual dinette for some reason, like you could do that here. Now that being said, I do suspect the vast majority of people are probably going to want the furniture laid out and equipped as we're looking at it here. But I'd be curious, are you one of the people that would like something else? Do you like the fact that you maybe have a couple options? I'll tell you, if you bust out an option sheet and you ask most dealerships, they're going to tell you, I don't know, it's not here. But I happen to know how Surveyor works, and I happen to know that you can request a different seat as long as it fits the same size. The one thing I'm not sure about is if you actually could fit a dinette back there and still let the slides close unimpeded, but I think that there's a chance. But I also, again, I don't know that you'd necessarily want it. But what if somebody's looking for, a place to like do puzzles and not interfere with the table so they can still do dining. Like, that might sound silly, but I've met a lot of different people who camp a lot of different ways, and there's some folks that really do like that. Real quick, here's something I like to do. Let me sit actually in the theater seat and give you a direct point of view of this thing. And again, the TV, I think, is an absolutely optimal location. What's kind of triggering me a little bit is that they went asymmetrical below the soundbar, but I understand why they did it. They're still giving us the electric fireplace, which is actually on no heat mode right now. You can use it just for visuals. But it helped maximize and give us more storage around it. So I kind of get that. What do you think of this overhang on the island, by the way? You notice when I sat down in the theater seat, it was not in the way at all. I think that if I brought like an extra bar stool, that could work. Or maybe, I don't know, put a wastebasket under it. I could see that working too. Working our way up front here. The bathroom is pretty straightforward. That's just a fairly generic medicine cabinet with a little bit of storage below. Nothing to necessarily write home about there, but I'll still give you a look around. They did a good job of keeping the vents out of the flooring, because sometimes you encounter a little Peter sprinklage when you're playing the Game of Thrones here in the bathroom, which I was very late to the Game of Thrones watching that show. And a lot of people flipped out over the ending. I don't know. I didn't think it was great, but I wasn't like one of these sign a petition and re-record the ending of it. I'm pretty easygoing, though. One thing I do really like, and I will die on a hill on, is I like the bigger bathroom vent fans. I'm very, very glad they did that. You may have noticed, too, though, extra headroom in that shower space, because it's a little bit taller floor to ceiling. That's one of those extra little details there that a lot of brands don't do. Now, some brands have a barreled ceiling, which helps, but this just is flat taller. Now, that's a flat empty wall because of what's around the corner. We're going to get there in just a second. Their bedroom, you say, oh, it's the same triple slide floor plan that everybody makes. Like, it's a queen bed slide out. It's a really deep slide out. You've actually got room to put on a pair of pants in this bedroom, which is excellent. I do like the little mini phone shelf side stands in there, though, with some USB plugs to help keep things charged up. And you've got good breeze windows all the way around this bed. That's something they did very, very nicely. But over here, this is either a massive bonus closet or a massive closet and dresser space, because it includes 3 removable shelves you can stack up however you want, or combo or stackable washer dryer prep. That thing right there, I think, is potentially the make or break point for a lot of people on this floor plan, because you can do a lot with that space back there. Frankly, if your best friend's a vampire, you can close that sliding door and give them a place to camp with you during the day. And then at night, you guys can go running around however you want to. Whatever they do in the shadows, I'm not sure. A lot of people criticize vampires for only coming out at night, and drinking people's blood, but the sun kills them and they got to drink blood to get vitamin D. You probably never thought of that. You only thought about yourself. Opening up the overhead storage and segueing away from my vampire chat. Again, strutted overhead cabinets, easy lift bed as well. But there's some serious good storage space down there. But you notice there's also a second electric fireplace in this thing. So what I'll tell you, they don't actually cold chamber and test these. But my father used to spend every October in an RV in Ohio for a specific event that took place there. And he basically ran the electric fireplace in the living room and a 10 by 10 ceramic space heater in his bedroom in a fifth wheel and never had a problem. These things can put out some really good heat and give you some awesome kind of seasonality aspects. Now, quote, is it 4 seasons? First of all, there is no definition of that phrase. No RV is truly 4 seasons. No RV is rated to handle all weather, but it's going to have to get and stay nasty cold for it to be a problem in this RV, really. Now, because your washer dryer prep is over in that bonus closet, that means that this is just pure unadulterated storage space. Now, those shelves are a little deep, so your clothes might bump into them a little bit if they're hanging up there, but they're still going to be able to hang up there. You're still going to be able to use all that space. And just to give you a sense of the depth, That's the cushion that goes behind that little convertible booth dinette bench thing, just so that you have a reference point. Now, this is kind of interesting. Notice that I did this all in one shot, essentially. I didn't take some of the kitchen chairs and move them in here. It comes with a third chair dedicated to this little space, and where they put the power outlets is what makes this space for me really awesome and really functional. I did a previous Surveyor video where I put my personal laptop over here, and it's just enough. I got a laptop and keyboard space. Now, it's not really going to be a great setup if you're a multi-monitor hound, but I've always been a one-and-done screen guy. I get by on one screen just fine. And having the ability to have a good dedicated space there, that can be very, very handy under specific circumstances. Now, this RV is really cool and really functional at a destination, but I've kind of found it to not be really a great road mode camper at all. But I don't know that most 40-foot-ish kind of travel trailers are going to be that way. That's a Schwintek bed slide. Those things historically don't like it if you try to occupy them while they're closed. Now, the bathroom is great. So if you're going down the road and you got a long trip and you're like, uh-oh, that Taco Bell's talking back at me. Thankfully, making a quick Taco Bell stop and running south of the border over here is not a difficult prospect. I wasn't really sure how this was going to play out, but the living room and kitchen effectively is completely lost for transit. And that's a bummer, but I hope you appreciate that we still take the time to showcase that, even if it isn't a positive aspect. And a lot of times you'll hear me say, yeah, but if you open the one slide, you can get to the fridge. In this one, you can't. Because of the way the fridge would interact with the island, you really can't. So, again, I hope you appreciate the candor. Hope you appreciate the clarity. If you do, I don't know, if you're new with us, subscribe. Know that we'll shoot you straight. If you're coming back, hit the like button or don't. I can't tell you what to do. And it's kind of interesting. It didn't really occur to me until I looked at this. I think that this is maybe the first Surveyor I've seen that has no measure of front window and or windshield. But it's because you've got a full front closet. And if that was a window, the only thing anybody would get a good look at is Uncle Gary's sundresses up there, because he's a character. Anyway, that Uncle Gary. What are we looking at? This is a Grand Surveyor as compared to the Surveyor Legend series. For the most part, like everything that the Legend does, the Grand does, but Grand also picks up things like a like fiberglass nose cap, and also has power stabilizers down here. So there's a couple extras that go on the Grands, but for the most part, it's essentially the exact same RV. The full front closet Grand Surveyors, they don't have a full front pass-through. It does have a decent cargo compartment here. Frankly, it's deep enough. It might be a little bit of a challenge trying to get to some of that, because the tankless on-demand water heater is on the other side. So they didn't have the opportunity for a full, true pass-through compartment. The underbelly of this is enclosed. It is forced air heated. It does have radiant barrier action, and this thing has some serious awning space on it. Holy cow. Your front awning obviously much larger and kind of very nicely covers a little bit of a rainy day grilling station over here. It does include that handy little griddle. And this is also now, instead of a cold water sprayer only, a hot cold sprayer port. It does include the coily hose and the sprayer head. They're just under the bed, and I forgot to grab them. Now, in case you're curious, you see that white flag hanging down under the skirt line there? That's the gas grill quick connect. Your tires over there, those are Goodyear Endurance radials. I will caution you, if you do try to go back in time, which does require 88 miles per hour and a flux capacitor, you're not going to make it, because these tires are only rated for 87 miles an hour. And the last thing anybody wants when you're traveling through time is a blowout. So kind of keep that in mind. If you appreciate those kind of high level pro tips, make sure you hit that subscribe button. The RV does have a stick built roof, but your sidewalls, rear wall, floor, they're all aluminum framed and laminated. And your walls, basically anywhere that you see fiberglass skin, it has Asdel substrate right below it. So Asdel, if you're not familiar, is a wood panel substitute. The material itself can't rot, mold, or mildew, and it's lighter weight as compared to wood. But one of the other kind of cool benefits to Asdel is it's basically made of polypropylene and fiberglass, plastic and fiberglass. Well, that's the exact same stuff that's in your actual fiberglass skin that you see. So because they're both made out of like materials, they expand and contract when exposed to harsh sunlight at essentially the same rate. And what that means, Asdel directly under the fiberglass skin makes it a lot harder for an RV's skin to delaminate, not just due to leaks, but also due to stress. Heat expansion and contraction stress cannot affect this one the way that it can a wood sub-panel wall. So if you have the RV stored outdoors and it's going to go through some extreme temperature swings, Asdel below the skin can help the RV avoid getting that bubbly skin action that nobody likes. The slides are also slide awning prepped, although they're not standard. And holy cow, dude, the sewer hookups came so close to meeting. I'm almost surprised they didn't find a way to still finagle and make it happen, because on the right-hand side, that's our kitchen gray outlet. On the left-hand side, that's our bathroom black and gray. And it would have been really cool if they could have all pumped out the exact same place. Now, what about the washer-dryer hookups? I think that's actually what the pipe is, the small pipe over on the left. You see how it's got a gray pull handle on it? I don't believe this RV actually has a dedicated washer-dryer gray tank. I'm pretty sure if you do have a washer-dryer hookup, you're going to want to make sure you have on-site sewer, because effectively all the water that runs through the washing machine is going to just pump straight out. There is no holding tank to kind of catch it in the meanwhile. That's not necessarily uncommon on a lot of travel trailers. It's actually more uncommon on a travel trailer with washer-dryer hookups that it does have a dedicated gray tank. But again, if you're going to be using that feature, it is you're either going to want a pretty good sized little blue tote honey wagon, or you're going to want on-site sewer hookups to run it. But I think that's pretty common for an RV like this if you're going to run a washer-dryer. I could be wrong. I don't know. What do you think? So like I said when the video began, I'm pretty beat. It's hot. I've recorded a lot of campers today, and I've had a lot of fun doing it, but I'm ready to go home. So I'm going to recommend maybe you take a look at the links in the video description. You can see if we have one of these in stock and what we're asking, and if not, call our team. We can get you pricing on anything that we're sold out of. But also, like, you know, Cougar, Reflection, Heritage Glen Hemisphere, a lot of builders make a big floor plan like this. I'll try to dig up some links on some of those so you can cross-compare a little bit. And maybe one tickles your fancy a little bit more than the other. Some people like to be tickled, some don't. I don't know. When you're ready, we're ready. Take care. Stay safe. Have fun. That's so stupid.